Red dials in watches. Where are they all, and why are there so few that are really worth looking at? Today I want to show you one that I think is borderline perfect. It's absolutely stunning. Just a disclaimer, this isn't a full review. It's a look at a watch that I was resizing for a friend, and when I spent some time with the dial, I just had to film it. Based on an ancient hemp print from Japan, it's supposed to bring the wearer growth and success. Now I like the sound of that, so let's take a look. How do you make a great red dial? The perfect red dial? Well, it starts with the shade of red, and I've had a look at a few items in my possession for inspiration here, and nothing quite seems to work. Not this cap, not the Coke can, or the red of the Calgary Flames shown on this lighter. And even this Lego Ferrari, it just doesn't quite look right. What Seiko have found is an absolutely sumptuous shade of red, and to make it 100 times better, they've pressed this dial with this stunning triangular pattern that means that the colour changes not just in different lights, but as you rotate the watch in the same light, the dial comes alive with the reflection of the light dancing around in this red, and it just looks so elegant and so fantastic. It really does. The rest of this watch is thoroughly unremarkable. The case doesn't have chamfers and sharp edges between the brushing and the polishing, and there's nothing particularly impressive elsewhere on the watch, aside from a signed crown. Thank you very much for that one, Seiko. But you know what, that's absolutely fine, because the dial is the star of the show, and you don't want any distractions to take you away from that. Even the simple hands and polished indices, well finished, but again, nothing that's going to take your attention away from the dial. And I would liken this to almost having a piece of art on your wrist that happens to tell the time. It is that good, and the depth that you get from the colour by having the fume effect leading to the edge of the dial just is the cherry on the cake. There is nothing that can spoil this dial. Oh, for f***'s sake, Seiko. So hold on a second. I know that debris, fibres and hairs on a dial can happen to any watch brand, but it shouldn't pass the QC. Of course, when I build a watch, as you might have seen from my mod video, I will blow a lot of air before I case it. And that should have happened with this watch, so there's no real excuse why it was there in the first place. But at the very least, if it's visible with my eye and you're doing a QC with a loop, even 2 times or 5 times, then there's no reason why this wasn't picked up. So we'll sort it out at the end of the video, like I mentioned, but let's get back to indulging in the dial before we fix it. The 3 things with this dial that make it is the shade of red, the texture and light play, and then the gradient from red to black. And the combination of all 3 is a killer combination, and that's what makes this watch so special. That's what I've really struggled to find with red dialed watches, and I think because it's so difficult to nail this combination, there's so few manufacturers that offer really good looking red dial watches. I didn't want to do a full review on this watch because this was a retirement gift for a colleague of mine from work. As you may have noticed, plenty of scratches and signs of wear on this one. And all I was going to do was just take a link out the bracelet and give it straight back to him. But when I spent some time with this dial, I really had to make a video, and I really think it's worth to show off because it is, as I said, I think super special. But I have got to give the watch back to my former colleague. Unfortunately, he knows where I live, so I can't hold on to it too long. But let's come to a conclusion on the red dial discussion. Oh, and before I forget, the white fibre on the dial. The fibre is gone, the dial is clean. So that is the Seiko Sharp Edge Presage dial in red, and what an absolute stunner. It's been a treat to spend a bit of time with this watch, and despite the shortcomings, I know I said this wasn't a review, but if you did want to know, usual stuff, pretty substandard bracelet, really poor clasp with only 2 holes of micro adjust, and only some basic finishing on the case. That's what I can get from it with my short time in terms of drawbacks. But I forgive everything in the time that I've had with this watch because of that dial. If you want to find out more about the watch, I don't have it in my possession anymore, but I've left a link to Seiko's official product page in the description, so it should be able to answer most of your questions. If not, let me know and I'll try and help you as much as I can. In terms of other brands, I like the Oris Aquis, the Cherry. I think that's awesome. I've seen that in person and that's a really nice red dialed watch. And Zelos drops some great red dials as well, but they normally sell out before I've even woken up, so a little bit frustrating there. I'm curious to know if you can recommend me any great red dial watches that I should take a look at or that I might have missed, because I don't really know that many. They seem to be few and far between. So it'd be great to hear your feedback, and please let me know what you think about this watch. And do I like this dial too much? Is it not as good as I think it is? Let me know in the comments below. It's always great to hear from everybody. I'd like to apologise that the channel has been a little bit Seiko heavy lately. Being a small channel, I get my hands on what I can get my hands on, and sometimes it goes that way. But the next couple of reviews that I'm planning on working on are Boulevard and Citizen, so that will give a bit of variety, and there will be a few more conversation topics in between, also not about Seiko, so I do promise some variety coming up. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from my channel, please click subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications for when I upload new videos. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers. Dials are red, violets are blue. If you will subscribe, I will say thank you. F it. My career as a poet isn't going to take off, but if you'd like to subscribe, please click up here, or maybe another video up here. Thank you.